Well, I tried to went back and other times in your life where you had adversity and said, geez, that would really end. So your real estate that ended, I think severe things turned out okay. And for me, when I was an athlete, I remember passion for lost there. Well, in the moment, I had been like there, like the wrong steps. I was taught about my day. I'd be like, and the rest I'll never do that again. Right? And then I'd be denial if I was, and then like 3 days later, I kind of trained. That's the answer. Real strong, so much right there. Like I was sneaking. Self-image is tied up in this $14. That's different. It doesn't go away. So many times I look how it's introduced by it. It's gonna play a lot.
Next time, I want to explore the minds of freelance traders. That is very helpful that down. Without others, I kind of exact example of that.
Schwab, investor checking account for investors like others for satisfaction by checking for 7 years in a row. Investor checking and the award-winning features of our checking account, plus cash management solutions designed for investors like you with unlimited ATM for cash withdrawals worldwide, no overdraft fees, and enhanced security features and more money saved. Also, because your investor. Fascinated from there, 14 years old, like. That's what I thought probably. Second goal is the checking account is linked to your Schwab brokerage account. You can manage your checking and investing in one convenient location. Big funds with your accounts is easy. Cash proof brokerage account is available in seconds. That means you can start with and start investing in stocks, bonds, money market funds, and more. Get more with Schwab Bank Investment. Built for investors. Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving you more specialized trading support. Connect with the Schwab Trade Desk, our team of passionate traders ready to tackle your trading questions. Plus, get 24/7 live help, access support by phone, email, and platform chat. Trade with Schwab. Opportunities don't stop when the market day ends. So Schwab gives you round-the-clock access to over 800 of the most popular stocks and ETFs in the wide variety of futures markets. All with 24 hours of trading sessions. I'll stop legs and it's 24-hour trading. No matter how many. You can trade or do that short. Or just getting started. Charles Schwab offers a webcast right for you. Do you like opening charts for the price of your stocks? Charles's webcast series breaks down. There are hundreds of historical arguments of Life America. More than just a symbol, it also care. But how we perceive them, that's me just over time. So actually, we're always so should not hold about everything. Check in the box. Slash coaching.
We are often underrepresented, misrepresented. So Schwab join in the latest market trends anytime, anywhere. In the world.
That's what we're trying to do.
Stories from the state, only live once.
He's like, you are more likely to die on this far right now than you are Scott, and that's pretty four things to be scared about. The conversation escalates when he screams at us at the speakerphone. He says, well, do you know this? He's 15 years old. Some guys in
Percent at 23,272.25. On the Dow, percent up on the day, 44,901.92, and the Russell closing up 0.4% at 2261.07. Now it's time to bring in our host panel. Lots to break down and lots to discuss. We come into a very busy week. Joining us in studio is Alex Coffey, our senior equities contributor and the host of Next Gen Investing, and Jeff Pierce, our senior manager of derivatives trading here at Charles Schwab. Now, thank you both for being here today. Alex, first, let's break down some of the earnings data that we got this week, and how it's performed in the overall market. We did see some all-time highs today.
Yeah, fifth consecutive all-time high for the S&P. So not uncommon to see it clustering. Obviously, it's easier to make another new all-time high when you just made the day. 5 straight, which tells you a lot about how this week has gone, which has been a good week. The main rate's actually a little bit ahead of pace. Something in the mid 80s. It's long 83 out of the change percent, which is good. There's earnings growth. The thing to me that's sticking out and some anecdotal and supporting evidence for this, but if you look at a name like here goes higher intraday, you expect a lot of intraday. You have both of those examples. So it's just a little bit of science into the price, getting to the point where some of the recovery or over space during everything else is picture's good, city economics still technical, they're good.
And Jeff, what were some of your key takeaways from the week?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most everything he said. I mean, watching, say, percent in terms of some companies, S&P 500 companies that report so far. Mega caps are expected to be a major driver. That's still the case. Max 7, we've seen a bit of mixed results there. We'll hear more from that next week. But that goes right out to Max 7 in terms of earnings. They're expected to be very similar, close to 14% compared to the rest of the S&P 500. Where expectations are just 8.5%. To see whether or not those expectations go up as we go on to next week's earnings report. So far, investors have been very happy with the demonstrating growth rates we've seen, but also some of the other outlooks that you're seeing starting to get most of the year.
And I certainly know we're getting more of the Mag 7 coming up, these bank and cap stocks, and there's so much expectation from them. Alex, what do you think has the biggest potential to move the markets next week?
Yeah, I'm going to say just because I think it's the most but they're kind of equally as big. It's these names, they set the impact this year. I guess the big indexes, but that's the thing that's really played on AI. It's like I said, it's really not this doesn't really talk about Amazon is intended for this much of the data in years past. So that's me and that absolutely sticks out. It's so bad.
Data this week as well. Is there anything you can say you're watching a whole of it, but anything that you're keeping a close eye on for any reason?
And obviously, we got those big reports, but it's impactful when that's such a the jobs, the PCE numbers that we're going to say,
would be interesting because guys manufacturing data that look at the last quarter, 49, 48, after May, that big expectations. We saw some data in this week that I think it didn't exactly coincide with all the other data we've seen here. For example, if you look at manufacturing, I think
Fashion at 5 Thailand for starting the recent fighting.
quite strong. Services really stole the show in some of these reports, but on the manufacturing side, I think it's been coming in strong. Seeing a little bit of weakness. I think another report might
Yeah, certainly, Alex, for you, we're getting GDP, PCE, also has tariff deadline, which we haven't even gotten to, and of course, the Fed meeting. There's so much to take in aside of these giant reports that everyone's waiting for. As far as the data goes, what are you both looking for?
Job. Obviously, the Fed made headlines of Wednesday after that'll be until you get and you'll get on the same day. As well. So if you were to rank the four biggest earnings of the Fed, the same day. So Wednesday is going to be jam packed in terms of events. So it's John. I think it's the fact next week.
Meeting the potential it's
See, this Fed meeting virtually out of the market entirely, but how much detail do you think we're going to get into when one might come and how much discord still remains within the Fed as
predict what the expectations will be returned detail. Basically, we have a White House version pretty strong. We certainly have had reports that I think giving the see but certainly going to be any indication that we're going to be seeing rate cuts here that are again likely not seeing September. Data this week. Some of the data that they probably want to start making decisions.
tariff deadline. We had a guest on the show earlier who said that he really thinks that the market has completely moved away from trade uncertainty and completely. Do you agree with that? Do you think that'll stay through next week?
Well, I think a lot of the major trading frameworks for people on there, Japan and China, I would say being the biggest risk. I think China be the biggest risk factor in terms of tremendous volatility. It was escalations happening directly with China. It was never Europe. It was never, Canada to some extent. Really. To those nations, creating chips, it's just going to be we're going to know what it is. So we're still uncertainty. I don't remember that it's as dramatic, and it can be. The tail risk is limited now regarding that. I think they're going to use Jackson to set the stage.
I'm just going to push it down. Your here, with the tariff deadline coming, we did get today that the president was going to send out notes offering between 15 and 20% tariffs to more than 200 countries, which is actually somewhat of an improvement over some of the numbers.
I think the market is ignoring the messaging. Right? Again, as Alex pointed out, we're seeing listening things across, China, Japan, even as we're hearing discussions around, for example, preparing for, counter tariffs or potential deals not going through. Right now, unless we hear something extremely negative on the tariff front, the market is on the data, most of it works with the earnings story, and until something changes, and that change could be August 1st, so we have a second time, until something changes, and the market has that anxiety or too much weight that that's been it's really been the reaction so far the last couple of weeks.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time out to call your host of Next Gen Investing here on the Schwab Network. And here's
We have the outdoor and the got check. The survivors of the high top attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki have never wavered in their efforts to erect a world-wide moral and legal war against the use of nuclear weapons. Last Tuesday, Biden spent time in Hiroshima to experience firsthand the horrors of the weapons prevented Russia and said he wants to draw as much global attention as possible because this year wants to be a year of safety and lawfare. We also visited energy and oil, solar, politics, daily life, and the city's lives that it was. We see these stories, we see the pictures, the different people we talked about, witness testimony from those days early on, but the days today is a speed a human being. It's clear that nuclear weapons could never ever be used again. But as I interact with young people involved in these activities, they work on the hands-on experiences of atomic bomb survivors and the benefits. Without their word.
interviews on Schwab Network. Head back to New York to the Big Three. Right now, the Big Three stocks, 3 charts, and 3 trades. Rick Ducat will take us through the charts. The trades is Schwab, senior market strategist at Today's Prosper Trading Academy. It is great to see both of you in the channel. Before we get into your trades, let's get into your big picture take. That's right to that for the trade too. We continue to see this
Exactly, it's a low volume, kind of chop up market. The only thing that's kind of shaking things up is tweets from the White House tariff. It seems like the market is fully being in this position, expecting deals to get done. Summertime trading, so that explains a lot. I haven't seen conditions like this in quite some time. There needs to be the breakup in late 2019, right before going into 2020, where the S&P 500 this really ridiculous run, small ranges, just pushing towards new highs on a continuing basis for nearly 3.5 weeks straight. So just in this room, but that's what this really seems. There's no cost. There's not much demand. It seems that the dealers are really trying to make a stance here. It's more.
Also, saying,
This, it's a pretty pullback here since the last nice standard. And back above the 200-day moving average, it really was yesterday. But it's really active. It was coming in and sometimes see the short-term moving averages. So there's a different entry 96 today. I was right for that directly on that price. This $100 price. It's always a psychological level to watch. There's been a bit of a hood in the last few where it's been a big reselection range. They've to this level the target is going to be around 103. And if it gets above 103, there's a lot of space moving up to around 107, 103. This is one of the names you want to keep an eye on in the short term because they got some great upside to recover. And being in this environment, there's not too many stocks that are providing this type of opportunity here. some compelling price activity here, and to provide some visuals to some of the things Charles was saying here. Just to kind of back up, you can see that gradually we've seen higher and higher lows in this name there. So not exactly a horizontal line, but still around 88 or so, 86, maybe around that general region where we're hitting our low points here. But basically, you could draw this shorter term weight trend line going across the highs of price activity. Here's the breakout point where we pushed above that trend line, as well as the influence of 20-day exponential moving average and our long-term 252-day exponential moving average in yellow and purple respectively. That's right up in that 95, 96 level that Charles is discussing here. And we can see that price has so that represents the flows from this area. We can see that for this medium term 63-day exponential average that comes in just below 101. So that could be a wonderful close of this week here. 107 represents a bit of a strange spike right here. High levels. Could be another area to exercise in the shorter term.
It brings a old story of devastation, but it really brings a story of really life. Never underestimate the power of hope. For younger generation. Unfortunately, in a couple of years' time, there will be no more Republican. They are aging. At some point, we will have no longer the place to listen to. Listen to the Hibakusha, to understand their message, but then at the same time, find new ways of telling that stories to new generations. And I believe that visiting Hiroshima and Nagasaki, meeting so many wonderful young people who have taken on that responsibility. A responsibility that is not only a global responsibility, but also a responsibility that each and every one of us citizens should take on.
That was the message when you did a speech at the ceremony in Oslo in December last year. You said, you said,
times last earnings report, they've been
in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Standing in the way of the best gap, which is the closing price of 897. And so get these things term play, short term play. Short term play, the votes here, I'll say 825, that could be just 25. It's really signaling to the market that the stock is really trying to drive, and they have a very transparent target at that price. And that's what traders and investors look for, the great profit opportunities to really see the stock line up here. They're a leader in their field without a shadow of a doubt. So in my opinion, this is something that's going to be on in the very near term. Yes. Like the psychological factors that we're talking about, technical analysis usually discourages significance to those. Often they come into prominence though. Recently, this was our range here. 800, that was the high point. I think we find often things that, despite the tension to not just assume these levels are important, but do turn out to be that way here. As we can see that for the most part, it's range between about 800 to 760 or so recently. Moving averages, these are moving averages 20, 63, 252 day. Start together, moving extremely sideways in a very narrow big there. So typically that speaks to two things. Either this action has been too choppy for the moving averages to solidify in one direction, or the range of trading is just kind of actually, it seems like kind of a mix of both. We have these big swings here in the low, and the high. What Charles was referring to earlier. Probably where we have the big gap. And then we've kind of just moved sideways as well. So we'll try and type shape to consider in the short term. Those 52 this year. If you count above that 800, you can see it. It's a situation. This is after the initial push, the stock retreats into the soil and then continues on the direction of the trend. It's going to happen. It's a very common situation for traders to look out for. See the bulk of the volume on our chart here is a very large range, 770 or 20 or so point of control. Pretty closely moving averages. So like 790, 786 would be a downside area to watch. Chart gap levels 850 is where the highest came in after getting down. And was that I figured that we're discussing earlier. You know, the Russell ranges have gotten tighter and tighter. Usually, what that indicates is that he's being harnessed up in relation to the actual technical breakout. So, he's about that descending trend line. There's that strong descending trend line to the upside off of these lows. And the last time this actually happened was before their last earnings report, just after the start of this calendar year in 2025, where it held right around the $700 price and shot straight up to 920 on that technical breakout. So it's setting up for something very similar to happen. It just needs some breaking. And really, that short 825 price could be a really huge catalyst on the upside. Yeah, so say ADSK was performing great and it looked like it was actually breaking out from right around 317 to go ahead and test their 50. Week highs at 326 as the news came out. Later this stock down to around
20.
SMA. And when I see some $307.27 price, I actually don't think that buyers are going to be looking to level. Maybe the short-term traders, but I have a feeling that ADSK is trying to swoop up and get right back to those 317 levels and perhaps start with that key 52-week high. This entire sector, with cybersecurity and semiconductors, have been the leaders this year. You've seen a lot of the Mag 7 names really not underperforming in relation to a lot of these names. And so I really like the near term. I like these present right here, and the highs once again would be the highest right now. My really traders will be up to give some downs. 293 would be their floor here during this very tight range of activity. 282 as well is another side area to watch. You can also see if we this some profiles. Near 296 as well as several other technical indicators here. So it would be key for this bullish breakout to 317.
They have to trade.
Morning, three are the biggest headlines during the day. From overnight to the watch and listen ready. 8 a.m. Eastern.
In Scotland on Sunday, the two spoke to reporters after their talks.
Trading a Schwab is not powered by America. Unlocking the power of platforms. When you're trading on Thinkorswim desktop, you're running
We have a close deal between the two largest economies in the world. It's a big deal, it's a huge deal. It will bring stability, it will bring predictability, that's very important for our business on both sides of the Atlantic. Yeah. But so both of that, I think I feel, this one will remain same. We had a really great agreement about $150 billion worth of security from the US. And invest $600 billion
education coach. It's interactive learning at its finest. Tune in live, watch on demand. Head over to schwab.com/coaching and start learning today. Well, I mean, within 600 because it's my view the AI revolution is being led by Microsoft and of course and I think when you think down use cases, this is trillion. I believe it's on the wrong.
So this is the shining moment. You said 600 is your sort of.
Today is Fulton Playground, a professor at the University of Tokyo Graduate School of Engineering. Finding bull cases and they you still consider davis daughter, yes. You consider little units of water. Around the world. Care is a leading expert in the screen 120. The solution said that it's becoming that human beings also feel that okay, what and that is few months of cycle so very much research tier is where you it's bad. Especially your heart still interesting iteration of sick wastewater. What's innovation? And it's like the human beings in raw table and we have to be anything. Saying, yo, you have to do that. You're not solution.
in that.
And I think
There's
years
a
will.
Just
Just the beginning of where we go.
it's smart. It's
Damn, it's transitional state, once you all the bigger chapter of it. Yeah, actually started talking about this with Bob. I think this would be a $2 trillion for this like get sales starts out. I want to see this thing. It's coming next 4 years. This is what I have the video.
However, it's
Still do. Showing your pupils. Transmission rate of this rate. And people have to wait 10 days.
research and your made before I go. Yes, it's in a way. I didn't. It's awesome. And it's seen for your now you're seeing you got frequency of your energy here. Thanks. There's something it was in his ear choice. That's why I think conservative relative that the
Yeah, with that great story. I mean, we didn't see the beam, but then by still have this
you have these stuff, you six, the book
water and energy are going to they are people I'm sure it like this. Just we all right? It was about that.
These things really need to get on it. We just that frustrate you that just was such a leader. They didn't have to do so big into the briefest and it saw their just leader and you can't say you can't go away.
This year, it felt like it went back to the future. 2016. Everything is so accelerated. Shift on that.
Six, maybe years ago.
It's here, it's not as bad as the, so the rent have to be on back. That, you know, the raw strands they come in from technology as the It's been very interesting, and I know, as I mentioned, you're going to be kind of things coming. And actually, I ended up closing the big old ability from this company, which I do think hopefully we're starting to see signs of, but we need more and more weeks where we build on price activity, not erases all the progress that's made.
The rip is twice as big as the bed. Snap means this bull suffered a potentially fatal blow. What would happen to me, I consider one. I think I'm using my faith. Every is needed to prepare with others rather than the believer. And that is the whole. Each friend is distinct from the other. It is very exciting that. Every member of the whole display their own. Message.